What's up? How you doing? Here we are, Sunday evening. Weekend is over. What do you expect? Time flies. Fresh water. Got a few items here. I got my straight razor. Love the straight razor. See what's in the box. So we have some shaving soap, fresh, very fresh. We have a leather strap, straighten out the straight. I have one there also at the pole, but this is a backup, and I have a couple of backups. We have brush, shaving soap brush, nice and soft. And here we have a nice sharp straight edge. Look at that. Grab this and just, smooth out your face. You know a good barber when you go there and they use one of these on you. Clean the neck out and the back and anywhere else. They're good if they have this. If they don't have that, then you go, okay, you're okay, but you're not that good. Put it here on the side. I mean, I have a backup belt, but that one over there that I have is heavy duty. These are more, I don't know, like if you're camping or something. I mean, this is a decent one also. You get that. Got the leather, and then you have the, this is like denim, rough. Alright. You flip it around, you do that side. So we save them, backups, in case something happens to the standard ones I use. Have some 550 paracord. Check that out. 550. I mean, these are useful for a lot of things. They have, this one has how many, 8 lines inside. So inside here, there's 8 other strands. And they each have their own little use. Well, actually there's 7 plus the outer one, so that's 8 altogether. And it gives you a few basic ideas, like this will lift 550 pounds. I mainly use it if I want to tie something down on top of the truck, or tie something down somewhere else. This is what I use. Remember these poppets? When I was in the 3rd grade, these really were popular. I'd go across the street, there was a little store, and the thing back then to buy, it was like, this was one of the things, but there was a few things that were popular. Poppets, and then rabbit's foot. Put your keys on it. Nobody believed, at least I didn't believe, that they were good luck. I thought, I don't know, put your keychain on. Then the thing that back then everybody would get, and I used to get them all the time, Mexican jumping beans. You don't see those anymore. Do that in a little bit. My radio. This radio is very good. It has shortwave on it as well, so you can get Japan, you can get Europe, nighttime. Nice antenna. Really, I like this radio. I'm a radio guy. I love collecting radios. Nice heavy ones. I got a really nice heavy one inside. Nice bass on it. Gotta have bass. So yesterday I took my daughter Amanda hiking, and we went hiking at the exact location where they shot the episodes for Bigfoot on the $6 Million Man back in the 70s. Somebody asked me if there were footprints there, and I said no. I know he was joking, but there were none. So Bigfoot here. Look at this Bigfoot. Sasquatch. I remember in the $6 Million Man, first time I ever heard Sasquatch, the name Sasquatch, and they said the Native Americans called him Sasquatch, or it Sasquatch, and they continue to call it Sasquatch. Now, you know, who believes that this thing actually exists? Even the people that go looking for this stuff, they know it's not real, but they're trying to sell books, they're trying to make a living, so they're promoting a false idea, fake idea. First of all, if this thing existed by now, let's say the last 10 years, somebody would have had it on the iPhone, video of it, picture, whatever, nice and crisp and clear, you know, at least 1080. Some of them even 4K. I mean, my iPhone, I have apps in there that shoot at 4K. So if I was in the forest, I would pull out the phone and I'd, you know, get a 4K image of Sasquatch, and I'd bring it back to civilization, and I'd say I have proof. Or even before, hunters, you know, like say they're up in Washington State hunting, they would have gotten one of these by now. I mean, this thing is big. What is this, like the size of a gerbil? They can't find it. It's hiding in the dirt. So, fake. But the show back then, even on the show, it wasn't real. He was robotic. He was a bionic Bigfoot. But, you know, you look at it from today's point of view, older, and you go, man, what a corny, goofy show that was. Especially the Bigfoot stuff. But as a kid, and that's what it was geared towards, kids, right? It wasn't made for adults. It was made for first, second, third, fourth, fifth graders. But back then, when I saw that Bigfoot episode, man, I was pulled in. And then I went to Universal Studios where they had that tunnel, right? And we went with the tram through that tunnel. They don't do that anymore. They changed it now. Now it's, I think now it's the Bigfoot. I mean the Bigfoot. I got Bigfoot on the mind, but it's actually the King Kong ride that you go through. But that used to be that tunnel that spun around. And I remember when I went through there the first time, the lady, she was kind of making fun of Lee Majors. She was saying, oh, big old Lee Majors was having a hard time going through there, so they changed the script, she said, and they had him being carried by Andre the Giant playing Bigfoot. I don't know if that's true, but it may be. Maybe he got vertigo. We open it up and check it out. But yeah, fake to the bone. Fake to the bone. Wow, they got many things in here you could buy. Batman, they have Wonder Woman, Superman, George Washington, Tesla, Queen Elizabeth, Bob Ross, oh, that is, oh, Albert Einstein, and then on this side we have, there's Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, Joe Biden, and some glob thing, some what's that, it? Michael Myers. Different things. Oh yeah, check them out. Look at that. Look at this guy. I like the legend, but it's just folklore. Just like a lot of things people believe in today's world, they refuse to give up on certain beliefs, even though they're folklore. Just legend, you know, legend, and the human mind is pretty good at making fake things seem to be real by crafting the argument in such a way that it resembles the truth, but it actually isn't. Look at that. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I don't know where I left off because I had to do something. So I think I was talking about Bigfoot or somewhere around there. But anyway, bobblehead Bigfoot. And like I said before, I took my daughter hiking yesterday in that area where they shot the scenes for Bigfoot on the $6 Million Man. And even though, you know, that's not cutting edge television with plots and everything, but when I was a kid, that was a very, very interesting show. And in general, $6 Million Man, but specifically the Sasquatch episodes, something about it, you know. And then there was a scene where Steve Austin tears off the arm of Sasquatch. So we went hiking there. My daughter was looking for snails, and we couldn't find snails here in the yard. Who knows where they are? But when we went to the forest over there where they shot those episodes, at first we couldn't find anything. We searched and searched, and then I said, well, let's give it one more try. And we ended up going deeper in, and I looked down, there was a little stream going by, and I go with snails. So you know what's funny about this is I think the people that were investigating this stuff has died down significantly ever since the invention of the iPhone. You know, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're never capturing an image of this thing because it doesn't exist. And if it did exist by now, somebody, a hiker, survivalist, a hunter, would have come across a 9-foot, you know, 8-foot creature. Was this thing hiding? Was he becoming part of the tree? Believe me, if this stuff was real, I would be in there looking. But anything that sounds that extraordinary, 99.4% of the time is made up. And I want to say probably 100% of the time. Everything has a logical explanation. You got to watch Scooby-Doo. And if it seems like it's like really like, you know, one of those difficult to explain things, that's because there's a lot of lies in there. People have made up all this stuff over the years, and you can't go back and dispute any of it because time has passed. So, but anyway, have all these items here. What's that?
What?
Did you say something? Yeah, that show In Search Of, that was a pretty cool show when you're a kid. Now you see it, you know, that's, you know, but it had a bit of that eerie thing to it, you know.
Or like, yeah, like if there's stuff that's like vulgar together.
Are you talking to me or are you talking to someone else?
What do you mean? I'm talking to Amanda.
No, because I could hear you there for a little bit.
How? I'm not even pressing the button.
Okay, I don't know. All right. Yeah, In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy was a cool show. I remember it would come on Sunday nights at 7:30, which is kind of like a weird time, but would come on for about a half hour, and I would be in my room with the lights off, sitting. I had a chair that would spin around, nice comfortable chair, and I would sit there watching. And when you're alone in the room as a kid, it would take your imagination to places that you never imagined. I remember the one about Sasquatch, and they had the ridiculous scientist that, I mean, one of them at least, who was like ridiculous, and he would always come out and say, yes, it's real, I've looked at it. And yeah, okay, I want to tell him go back to sleep. So they have a thing printed here. This is a fake story. I looked it up. It had nothing to do with Bigfoot. But anyway, it goes, did you know in 1924, prospector Alan Ostman reported under oath that he was held captive by a whole Bigfoot family in British Columbia for 6 days. Only by distracting the father beast with his supply of snuff was he able to escape. Now that, just listening to that, sounds asinine. So this prospector, Albert Ostman, Ostman, under oath, like, okay, let's say he's lying under oath, which he was. What were they going to do to him? Prosecute him and say, oh, you made up that Bigfoot thing? He knew they were going to do nothing, so what's the loss? Under oath. It's like, oh, I can't lie now, I'm under oath. So anyway, he was captive, held captive by a whole Bigfoot family. So it was like all these Bigfoot creatures in there. He figured it was a family. And this was up in British Columbia, and they held him there for 6 days. And then he had a little bit of snuff on him. Apparently they liked the nicotine. And the father beast was distracted by, I guess he said try some of this stuff. Like ridiculous. Plus, I mean, look at this foot. Plus, these things are spotted in freezing areas of the country, like Washington State, Colorado, places like that. Apes don't hibernate, at least as far as I know, they don't hibernate. And so, what do they eat during the wintertime? And nobody has ever found one skeleton. I mean, we find dinosaurs that died millions of years ago. We'll find a fossilized, record of their existence. But Bigfoot, no, nothing. But anyway, In Search Of had that eerie sounding music, and it gave the appearance that it was real just by listening to the background music, and then Leonard Nimoy, the way he would describe things, but all fake, including the UFO stuff. What is it now? Unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAPs. Doesn't even sound that good anymore. It's like, who changed it? Oh, we can't have UFOs. That sounds too crazy. Let's come up with something that means the same thing. Even that stuff. I'm one of those people that believes that there is intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. I believe that to be the case. It's such a big place out there. We only see a small fraction of what is really out there, I think. I mean, you're only seeing whatever, light was able to reach us. That's as far as you could see. And because the universe expands faster than the speed of light, the stuff that's beyond the observable horizon, you will never see. You will never see. And eventually, everything will pull away from us. And every galaxy will be like it's in its own universe. So, say 1 trillion years from now, any kind of intelligent life that's making telescopes will look out into the universe and conclude that they are the only galaxy in the universe because they see nothing else. kind of like us right now. We see, you know, lots of galaxies, but what we don't see is anything past the event horizon. So it's kind of like looking out into the ocean, and about 6 miles out you see the horizon touching the ocean. And in the old days, ancient times, people would look at that and say that's where it ends. Some people, not all. And so that's how the universe is. We look about 90 billion light years from one side to the other, and you can't see beyond that. So they say, well, it's got to be about 90 billion light years across. But that's only because our technology and the light that comes from that area has reached the peak. That's pretty much it. You can't go beyond where the speed of light has reached, right? So if the universe is expanding faster than the speed of light, whatever is beyond that horizon, you will never ever see. And eventually, because the universe expands faster than light travels, all the galaxies that we see today eventually will vanish. I mean, it's not like the Earth's going to be around. Humans will not be around to witness that, but anything else that's going to be around beyond, you know, that time frame, we'll look out into the universe and never ever realize that there's other galaxies out there. So who knows how big this thing actually is. But, you know, I'm just saying that there's you know, a very good probability that other intelligent life is out there. But because of the vast distances, we can't get a signal. I was looking the other day, I was looking where the antennas are here in California. There's 3 places: California, I know Australia, and then I don't know what the other one is. I can't think of it now. Is it Chile? But anyway, there's 3 places on the planet that have these dishes that pick up signals from outer space, and they were specifically built for Voyager 1, Voyager 2. And you know, we never lose signal from that spacecraft because there's always something pointing its way. So I was reading something the other day that was fascinating to me. So Voyager 1 has been traveling for 38,000 miles per hour, 24/7, since 1977. So in 2.5 years, or 3 years, say, in 3 years, on the 50th anniversary, right, Voyager 1 will be exactly 1 light day away from us. That means that a signal that leaves Voyager 1 will take 24 hours to get here. Just 1 light day. It seems far, but 1 light day is nothing. And it's been traveling all that time, 38,000 miles per hour for 50 years, only to be 1 light day away from us. It's crazy. You know, so you got to think the closest star, Alpha Centauri, yeah, that's 4.2, almost 4.3 light years away from here. Years. So you can just figure how big this place is out there. I mean, we've had this Voyager 1 going now since '77, August, I believe, and it's not even 1 light day away. Not even 1 light day. And then, it's going to keep traveling until it disintegrates, basically. But 300 million years from now, traveling at that same speed, 300 million years, 300 to 400 million years, it would have traveled only 1.7% of the galaxy's distance, the galaxy's diameter. So 1.7%, which is 1 quintillion miles. It's just crazy. I mean, that distance is just unimaginable. Quintillion. And so you got trillion, quintillion, pentillion, sextillion, septillion, octillion, nondillion, right? Nondillion, dectillion. So you have all those numbers. This thing would be like 1 quintillion. and it would be traveling hundreds of millions of years to get to that point, and that's only 1.7% of the galaxy's distance. So it's just, like the mind gets wrapped up in that, and it's crazy. The galaxy alone would be sufficient if the universe was that big only. But the universe, if you take it, and put the galaxy in it, the galaxy is nothing more than a little flake. If you look at the local cluster as you pull back, and you see our galaxy, and then you have huge distances between galaxies, but all those galaxies, they're called a local cluster, and there's a lot of them. And then you pull further back, and the local cluster becomes a little dot in the universe, nothingness. And then you realize how big this place is when you see, just from our galaxy, the Milky Way, to Andromeda is like 2.5 million light years away, and the rest of it's empty space. Buddha's void. That's 330 million light years of almost nothingness. There's like, in a space that big, 330 million light years, there would be about 2,000 galaxies in there on average. And in the Buddha's void, there's only, I think, 60, which is like emptiness. So they're looking from their point of view, like, there's nothing around here. It's just 60 galaxies in this area. And they don't know why, why that is, why there's such a vacancy there. But it's fascinating, and I have a feeling that the universe is much, much bigger than what we observe. What we observe is, let's round it off to 100 million light years across. 100 billion with a B. And I bet you anything that's just a drop in the bucket. That's like going to the ocean and scooping out a cup of water and saying, wow, it's a lot of water in that cup. And then looking at the rest of it and going, that's nothing. That's nothing. We live in a weird reality. We popped up here. We don't even know how we got here, like how the place actually came to be. Nobody knows, not yet. I know they're working on it, but there's a lot of theories out there. Even the Big Bang to me seems a little bit ridiculous. If you knew for certain that the universe was 13.8, let's say 14 billion years old, and that's all it was, and let's say you said it was 100 billion light years from here to here, then you could say that, since things are moving away from us, at one point things were closer, therefore the universe had to be, in a small area, and then exploded and, became what it is today. But that only works if the universe is that big. If the universe is infinite, or if it's trillions of times bigger than what we can observe, or even the number that they use, 250 times bigger. Let's say it's 250 times bigger, and they don't even know that. They might be much bigger. But anyway, if it is even that, then you can't say the Big Bang was ever something that happened, because in order to say that, you would have to know where the border is right now to be able to reverse engineer the process. So I think one day they're going to find out that the Big Bang is not a good explanation. It just doesn't seem like a good explanation the more you think about it. It could be that the universe always existed, never came into being, was always there, but it just constantly recycles itself and changes. And so while you have one portion of it dying off, and then it starts recycling itself, you have another portion on some other side of the universe coming into being, coming into existence. And of course there may be something, like the multiverse, where you have an infinite amount of universes, or not even an infinite. Say it's, say it's like, 10 dectillion, whatever. You know, it could be while one gets extinguished, another one pops in. And and that's just the way reality is. The way reality is that it always existed. It never had a beginning, and it's kind of like in a loop now. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I mean, we have cute stories from the ancient world, but nobody really knows. We know more now than we knew back then, but even now, we could be on a wild goose chase. I mean, this stuff could turn out to be, you know, something that they disprove 100 years from now. They go, yeah, we used to think the Big Bang was the way it happened, but now we know that the universe always existed. It expands, and then contracts, expands. So right now it's expanding, so it gives the impression that everything was in a tight spot, when in actuality it wasn't, you know. And eventually all this stuff will, you know, burn away. The sun burn away. The atoms that make the whole place will eventually decay into nothingness. Protons, nothingness, and then we don't know what happens. Maybe this portion of the universe dies off, and if the universe is trillions of times bigger, the rest of it continues to thrive and it keeps moving onward. So you have huge dead areas that were thriving at one point, and as time goes on, these dead spaces, they become nothing more than, you know, voids. And then other parts of the universe come into being, and they're fresh. So you have this constant cycle of life, you know, and death, life and death, and eventually, you know, what used to be like this place, this part of the universe now that's thriving, eventually goes out like a light. So we don't know. And Webb telescope recently found galaxies on the event horizon way out there that seem to be old because they're well formed, you know. So you're looking back in time, you know, billions of years, and these galaxies should not be well formed or that size, and they are. And that means one thing, that they're older than, you know, than they should be based on our knowledge. Should be. You know, strange stuff. And I've said before, you know, I always would think when I was a kid, what about if there was nothing? No reality, nothing, no empty space. And maybe that's an impossibility. Maybe that you can't have nothingness exist, because nothingness can't exist. Because there's no such thing as nothingness. What does that even mean? You know, maybe reality always has to be here, because there's no other option. You know, and like I said, maybe the universe has always been around, always existed. There's not a beginning to it, there's not an end to it. It just constantly keeps getting recycled. It's interesting, though, if you think about it, where all this material came from in the first place. I mean, if there's, you know, and if it's in a cycle, which means the loop is closed, that means you never have a beginning, you never have an end. It just keeps going into a rotary. So the more you think of this stuff, the more it boggles the mind, or at least the mind gets boggled. Nice night, though. Like one day, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go at nighttime to the desert, and I'm gonna put a table like this, and I'm gonna put lights like what I have here, put the camera there, and I'm gonna broadcast from the desert, and then I'm gonna go pitch black, and I'm gonna take an image of the sky. It's incredible at nighttime, overwhelming, because it's pitch black there. You got to go on a night where there's no moon, and you sit there and it feels like you're being showered with stars. You look up and it's like, you know, stars. You know, I said this before, but I was down in Barango Springs, and we were staying there for a bit, and at nighttime I went out and I looked up at the sky, and it was incredible, the amount of stars. And that's nothing. Like if, say, the galaxy is this big to scale, right? Get the swirly thing, and we're out over here on the edge. What we see is a little area about that big in the sky. If the galaxy were this big, you'd see a little tiny section like that, very small. And yet, when you see it, it looks incredible. It looks like there's endless stars. And just to put that in perspective, I mean, when you look at that, you're overwhelmed. You go, wow, that's crazy. That's huge. Picture the galaxy thousands of times bigger than what you could possibly see. And then picture another 2 trillion galaxies that we know of. Well, that number is an estimate. You know, they basically surveyed a small section of the universe, and they said, okay, if this area has this amount of galaxies, then this whole area has to have about 2 trillion. We don't know for sure. It could be a lot more. I would say it's a lot more. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna go inside, watch a little television, maybe eat some chocolate, and then get ready for a brand new day. All right, that's it. Ciao for now.